Am I the asshole for telling my wife the lock on my daughter's door does not get removed until my brother-in-law and his daughters are out of our house? My brother-in-law Sammy lost his home shortly after his divorce 10 months ago. He moved in with us and brought his twin daughters Olivia and Sloane 18 with him a couple of months ago. His sister, my wife, and I have one daughter, Zoe 16, and she and her cousins aren't close but get along fine. Olivia and Sloane have no respect for Zoe's privacy, none. They used to walk into her room and take everything they get their hands on. Makeup, phone, accessories, clothes, school laptop, etc. Zoe complained a lot and I've already asked the girls to respect Zoe's privacy and stop taking things. My wife and Sammy saw no issue with this. After all, they're girls and this is typical teenager girl behavior. I completely disagree. The last straw was when Zoe bought a $60 MAC makeup kit that looks like a paint set that she saved up for over a month, and one of the girls, Sloane, took it without permission and ruined it by mixing shades together while using it. Don't know much about makeup, but that's what Zoe said when she found the kit on her bed and was crying. I told my wife and she said she asked Sloane to apologize, but I got Zoe a lock after I found out she was moving valuable belongings out of the house because of this incident. The girls were extremely upset. Sammy asked about it and I straight up told him. He said, "My girls aren't thieves. It's normal that girls of the same age borrow each other's stuff." He said that Zoe could easily get another makeup kit for $15 from Walmart and shouldn't even be buying expensive adult makeup in the first place, and suggested my wife take care of this defect in Zoe's personality, trying to appear older than she is. Oh, this is where the claws come out. He accused me of being overprotective and babying Zoe with this level of enablement. I told him that this is between me and my wife, but she shamed me for putting a lock on Zoe's door for her cousins to see and preventing them from spending time with her, saying I was supposed to treat them like daughters, then demanded I remove it. But I said this lock does not get removed until her brother and his daughters are out of the house. She got mad I was implying we kicked them out and said her family will hate me for this. So I reminded her that I let Sammy and his family move in, which is something her own family refused to do. So she should start with shaming or blaming them for not taking their own son and nieces and granddaughters in. If it wasn't for her family's unwillingness to help, we wouldn't be dealing with this much disturbance at home. Everyone's been giving me and Zoe silent treatment, and my wife is very much upset over this. Go Dad, good for you.
Am I the asshole for being upset with my son for finding a job without telling me? My son is 18. He is going to be attending community college and is living with me, my husband, and his two younger half-sisters. The other day I found out that he found and accepted a job without telling me. I was upset with him about it, and the reason for that is that, first of all, he should have told me since we live in the same house, and also, and more importantly, now I'm left without someone to stay with the girls from 3 to 8, where my shift starts and ends. My son is usually the one to stay home with the girls, and his new job is during these hours, so one way or another, we are impacted. He told me his friend found him this job and it just happened, but I don't think it did because he knew he had to give up staying with his sisters while I work. My husband travels most of the time, he's a pilot, and paid childcare is a no for me. My son said I shouldn't be surprised by him trying to work to save money to be able to pay for himself, but that is just absurd since he literally lives with us without having to pay for anything except for his own entertainment. He said he needed the job and he wasn't realistically going to stay and watch his sisters for days on end, especially since he doesn't get paid for it. We kept arguing and my husband got involved and he too was upset, saying that my son had no respect for us. My son basically had a like it or not attitude with us and kept refusing to discuss this with us, saying we have no right to be upset with him and should just accept it. But I think that he's being inconsiderate of my husband's and I's struggles to provide for the family as a whole. This should mean something to him, but he acted so selfishly.
Storytime about how I scammed my followers out of $20,000. I started out as an influencer on Instagram a few years ago. A few of my posts went viral and after a month I had 1 million followers. Suddenly I had so many brands reaching out to me. Some of the brands I had never heard of, so I didn't really answer back. But I did start working with some brands that I did know. The only problem was that they would only pay me about $70 to $100 per post. By the way, I had a lot of debt at the time, so only making that much was not working for me. I decided to ask for more money, but some of the brands just wouldn't pay it. So by the end of the first month, I had only made about $500. That was not enough to pay my rent, and I was not about to get a day job. I had 1 million followers on Instagram. I was a glorified influencer. So instead, I started reaching out to some of these brands that I had never heard of before. One of them was offering me $5,000 to post a link on my story for 3 days. Of Of course, I accepted. Part of me thought that it was a scam, but I didn't care at the time. I needed the money. After 3 days of posting the link, they paid me the $5,000. I was able to pay my rent, my car insurance, and my phone bill. But here's the thing. I started getting a bunch of DMs from my followers who were super angry. They were calling me a scammer and a bunch of other names. So I decided to do some investigating, and I found out that the whole thing was a scam. When I started seeing all the angry messages from my followers, I asked them what was wrong. One girl sent me screenshots of all the stuff that she had bought with the link that I posted. She told me that she Googled the company and that it was a scam. So I decided not to reply back to her. I wrote to the company and told them that I was getting a lot of hate messages. But of course, the company ghosted me. I saw 5 other messages and they were all basically saying the same thing. That the website was a total scam and that they had purchased stuff off of it. But here's the thing. For the first time, I had money. So I decided to just ignore it, which I know is a bad thing. But it's also their fault for not doing their research. But I did learn my lesson. After that, I Googled every single company that ever reached out to me. But here's where it gets worse. 2 weeks later, I get another $5,000 check from the same company. But I was so happy. I deposited that check really fast. So here's what I had to do. I blocked every single person who told me that the website was a scam. And then I just tried to forget about it. I also had to delete all the hate comments. And a few weeks after that, I get another $5,000 check. I had $15,000 in the bank. I had made $15,000 from all of the scams. But it didn't stop there. A few weeks later, I got another $5,000 check. So in total, I had $20,000. This was the most money I'd ever had in my life, and I was not about to send it back. But I was still getting a lot of hate on Instagram. I ended up blocking over 500 people. And then finally, the company reached out to me. I told them my followers were saying that they were scamming them, but the company made up some excuse saying that the shipments had been delayed and that my followers would receive all their purchases. Then they offered me another $5,000 to post a different link. And guess what? Of course I accepted. They offered me $7,000 this time. I knew very well that this was probably another scam, but I still accepted. A few days later, I posted the link, but the payment never came. I waited a few weeks before contacting the company, and they ghosted me. I wrote to them every single day, but I never got the $7,000. So guess what? I also got scammed too. It's been 2 years since that happened, and I don't feel bad about it. I now make a lot more money than $20,000, but we all start somewhere. Part of me does feel guilty for scamming everyone, so sometimes I think about possibly paying them back. And don't start trying to guess in the comments who I am. You will never guess. Or maybe you will. Whatever, I'm $20,000 richer. Bye.
Storytime about how my abusive ex is dating my sister to get back at me. I just want to clarify that my sister and I really have a good relationship. My parents taught us to be best friends, but my manipulative ex came between us. I met my ex in college, and he was the player of the school. He had a new girlfriend every single week, but for some reason he decided to chase me. And of course, at first I was super flattered. He completely manipulated me into believing that he loved me, and that I was the most special girl out of everyone in the school, and that I wasn't like the other girls. The worst part is that my parents wanted me to focus on school, so I started dating him behind my parents' back. After dating for a few months, he started changing. He started getting super controlling and very jealous. He would monitor everything I did and ask me questions about everything. Who I was going out with, who my friends were, and God forbid there were any guys in my classes. He would stress me out so much that it would take my appetite away and I started losing weight. It got so bad that anytime he would text me or call me, my hands would start sweating and I would get instantly nervous. He always made me feel like I was in trouble or like I did something wrong. I decided to break up with him, so I went to his apartment and things went horribly wrong. As soon as I told him, he punched a hole into his wall and basically kidnapped me for 5 hours. He wouldn't let me leave his apartment. After I told him I didn't want to be with him anymore, he basically locked me in his apartment for 5 hours and he wouldn't let me leave. He punched a hole in his wall and just cried the entire time. I finally convinced him to let me leave, and after that he would not leave me alone. He started sending me flowers to convince me to get back with him, but I wouldn't respond to anything. For an entire week he would call me every single day, multiple times a day. Eventually I blocked his number and I thought that everything was fine. By the way, nobody knew that I was dating this guy. I didn't tell my parents because they didn't want me to be dating anyone during college. And of course I didn't tell my sister. I didn't want to stress her out. After a few weeks I went home for spring break. My family and I had planned to just stay home, watch movies, and eat good food. But when I got home, my sister started telling me about this new guy she met. At first I was really excited for her until she showed me his Instagram. It was my ex. She told me he sent her a message on Instagram and that they had gone on a few dates. I was absolutely horrified. And right then and there I told my sister the truth. I showed her all the abusive messages that he had sent me, and I told her about how controlling and jealous he was. But my sister started to cry and told me that she was already in love with him. And she also told me that she lost his V card to him. My sister calls him and confronts him. That's when he told my sister that I was the abusive one, that he was trying to get away from me. That's when my crazy ex decided to tell my sister that I was the abusive one in the relationship and that I wouldn't leave him alone. At this point, I could tell my sister was super confused and hurt. I grabbed the phone from her and hung it up. I then explained to her that he was always so manipulative and that he would make me believe anything. I begged her to block him and she wouldn't. So I had no choice but to go to my parents and tell them the truth. I told them I had a boyfriend behind their back and that now he was trying to date my sister to get back at me. I told them the whole truth about how abusive he was, and of course my parents were devastated. They went to my sister's room, but she wasn't there anymore. That's when I found her phone and saw the messages. She went
went over to my ex's house. It's like he had her under the spell. So my parents and I went straight to my ex's house. That's when my sister told us that she would be moving in with him and that I was only trying to separate them because I was jealous. I got my friends to call her and tell her about how abusive he was, and she finally started believing them. My sister finally came home a few days later, but she still wants to be with him. I'm only 45 minutes away from school, so I decided to stay home. My parents and I are trying to keep her from seeing him. The good news is I finally got a restraining order against my ex. But what else can I do at this point? Please give me advice.
Storytime. My boyfriend cheated on me, so I cheated on him with his cousin. So a little background information, I was 18 and a freshman in college. So my boyfriend and I have been dating for 3 years going on 4. And we were pretty much what you call a very toxic relationship. We would break up with each other, then get back together 5 minutes later. I would say that it's all really my boyfriend's fault, because instead of spending time with me, he would rather go out to the club and sleep with any whore that he could find. But he would always start an argument with me before he went to the club so that way he had a reason to cheat on me. And he's been doing this ever since we first started dating. I don't know why I didn't take that as a red flag, but I'm a dumb bitch who lacks common sense and is completely blind to red flags. So I started a private Snapchat, but I used it as almost like an OnlyFans. Except it was free. I added a bunch of guys on there and my boyfriend's cousins. His one cousin was my best friend and would low-key hype me up. So like I said, I made this private Snapchat that was basically like an OnlyFans. And I had his cousin on there who was low-key my best friend. And he would low-key always hype me up on my thirst traps. So eventually I sent him a whole nude picture of myself. His cousin had a girlfriend, but neither of us were going to tell our significant others. And I told his cousin that I would sleep with him if he cheats on me again. Well, what do you know? A few nights later, he calls me starting an argument before he goes to the club. So I go to bed, I'm bawling my eyes out, and he calls me at 3 in the morning asking for me to get an Uber for him and some friends. But I hear a girl talking in the back. So obviously I gave him a hard time about it. So he hangs up on me, calls me 20 minutes later, and I hear this girl talking in Spanish in the background. Me being me, I assume the worst. I assume that he cheated on me. So he calls me the next day saying that we need to talk. I go over there. He says he doesn't want to be with me anymore. So like I said, he calls me over to his house. He says that I'm the problem in the relationship. I'm the reason why he cheats on me 24/7. So I'm like, you know what? Whatever. I leave and I go to his cousin's house and his cousin kind of does the deed on me. After that, I leave because I really wasn't trying to do the nasty. So a few weeks later, my boyfriend texts me saying, I need to talk to you, da-da-da. And we're not together at this point, mind you. And he's like, hey, like, I just feel like you're really not being honest with me. Like, I want to get back together, but I feel like you're unfaithful. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? You literally cheat on me 24/7. So I give him my phone to go through it. I thought I deleted everything, but I didn't delete a conversation between my best friend and I. So I'm bawling my eyes out, turn on my game face for lying. And I'm like, I swear to God, like, I didn't cheat on you. It was a prank. But he did the nasty with that girl, so I think we're even. So obviously I got back with him and we've been together for 4 years.
Hi, my name is Rita. I come from a very traditional Indian joint family with 2 mean, stupid aunts. Everyone was super excited for my birth, but when they saw my dusky complexion and curly dark hair, my aunts literally screamed, "Ugh, this baby is ugly. She's nothing like Lavina." Lavina was my elder sister, and she was everything my family wanted. Fair, skinny, with brown hair and hazel eyes. She was the jewel, while me, I was always pushed to the back for photos, given hand-me-down clothes, and the smallest slice of cake. Lavina was always on my side. "You're totally beautiful, Rita. Don't listen to our stupid relatives." It was hard not to listen. Like 1 year for Diwali, my aunts blindfolded me and Lavina to take us to our gift. I was so excited when I opened my eyes and saw a huge walk-in closet with unlimited outfits. "Oh, wow! Is this for us?" "No, just for Lavina. For you, we got this treadmill." "Don't worry, Rita. We can share the clothes." "No, you can't. These clothes are for pretty girls only." I was so mad that I walked up to the treadmill and turned it on. My aunt's feet slid out from under her and she crashed to the floor. I ran out of there as she started chasing me with a slipper. My parents should have controlled my aunts, but they were too busy fighting with each other. They couldn't stand to be in the same room without breaking out into a screaming match. This meant that our aunts could boss us around all day. But I always found a way to mess with them. I put bleach in their laundry to ruin all of their beautiful saris. If they yelled at me for having curly hair, I spat in their evening tea. One time, my aunts tried to make me put on skin whitening cream. I squeezed it out into their food. "There, you eat it. If you have this skin, no one will marry you." If the only thing boys care about is white skin, then I don't want to marry them. I was bold, but I was secretly beginning to believe that I wasn't pretty. And there's only one way for a not very good-looking person to be respected in India. Studies, studies, studies. I had to be at the top of my class every single year without fail. Lavina was whisked off to kiddie parties and dance functions with my aunts, and I would stay back at the empty house and put all my focus into my schoolwork. When I came first in the district in 10th grade, Lavina forced the family to host a party for me. Who cares if she's smart? You could marry a millionaire any day, Lavina. That would be a real achievement. Rita can become a millionaire by herself. She's a genius, and we're going to celebrate her. Aw, I loved my sister. We planned the whole event together, and we even convinced our parents to join in. You can take a break from fighting for one night. Promise? We promise. Obviously, that didn't work out. It was an hour into my party. Everyone from school was here, eating and dancing, when my aunt walked up to the DJ and turned off the music. We just want to say, we are so proud of Rita for getting good marks. Even though she's ugly, at least she has brains. My classmates looked confused. Rita isn't ugly. Are you crazy? That curly hair, those big eyes, I think she's gorgeous. No, she's not. She's prettier than you are. My classmates laughed and my aunts gave me the death stare. It's so funny that you all think Rita is smart when she doesn't even know her parents are getting a divorce. What? Divorce. Your family is breaking up. Did you not know? Are you ugly and stupid? Lavina and I were speechless. Mom ran up to the stage and started fighting with my aunts for revealing her secret like this. My classmates were watching the drama in total shock. Suddenly, Mom grabbed my cake and threw it in my aunt's face. The whole room gasped. I hate you, and I hate this house. I'm leaving right now. Mom packed her bags and just took off to be with her parents. My classmates witnessed my family breaking into pieces. I was so done with my crazy family. After that disaster, I launched the largest silent treatment of my life. I acted like no one existed in my house except Lavina. Mom was gone and Dad was out of town a lot for work, so my aunts tried their best to annoy me and make me break my silence. You're stupid. And girl, you are ugly. Nice try, but those words couldn't hurt me anymore. I was not gonna give them a reaction. The thing that got me through it were my new friends in school. My classmates felt really bad for me after the party. Many of their parents fought all the time and were really unhappy. They started chatting with me and inviting me for sleepovers and parties. They even voted me to be on the cover of a teen magazine in town. I was so shocked to see that people thought I was stunning. Dark skin wasn't ugly. I knew it. I got some much-needed confidence and started to have a social life, but Lavina wasn't allowed any of it. The older she got, the more beautiful she became, and my aunts wouldn't let her go anywhere except school. Lavina is pretty. Anyone can take her off the streets. We have to keep our jewels safe. I could disappear for days at a friend's house, but Lavina wasn't allowed to step outside the courtyard. I could enjoy pizzas and oily street food, but she was forbidden from eating anything fatty. Millionaires don't marry girls like you. I wanted to scream at my aunts, but I'd sworn I'd never react, so I just sneaked stuff into Lavina's room when they weren't looking. Here's your chocolates and my phone if you want to text your boyfriend. I love you, Rita. Together, we could play our aunts pretty well. I'd sneak Lavina's boyfriend into the house every night so they could meet. I pretended to be her, sleeping in her bed if she went out on dates. That backfired one day when they asked Lavina to come down so they could show her off to their friends. I had to think fast. Sorry, I just started my period. There's blood everywhere, I said in my most Lavina voice. It worked. My sister and I were like literal ninjas. It was all going so well until one day when Lavina's boyfriend stubbed his stupid toe while sneaking out of the house. He let out a yell that woke up the whole family. They rushed downstairs and caught us throwing his butt out of the window. A boy? With our girl? End him! My relatives let out a war cry and started chasing him with slippers and bats. He was super fast and he outran them easily, which is when they turned to us. Uh-oh. Family court was called the next day, and my aunts barged into Lavina's room and searched every single corner. They found the phone I gave her with all her texts, the chocolate wrappers and the secret makeup boxes, everything. Lies? Makeup? Boys? These girls are out of control. We need to take care of Lavina before she turns into her pathetic sister. We have found a husband for her." That was when I finally broke my silence. "No way. Nuh-uh. You're not selling off my sister to some jerk. Yeah, I don't want to get married." "We will make you." "How? Will you drag her to the ceremony? You don't think I'll call the police?" "How dare you, you little—" "I've had enough of you. If you try to tell me or Lavina what to do, I'm going to destroy everything in this house. So don't try me." But they did try me. The next week, Lavina and I were just chillin' when my aunts told us to come downstairs for lunch. Instead of lunch, we found a whole bunch of strangers looking at us with creepy smiles. This one guy in front said, "Lavina is the fair one, right? That's the one I want to marry." "Yes, yes, don't even look at the other one. Lavina, dear, this lovely boy and his family are here with a proposal for you. Why don't you make us some tea?" Oh my God! They had some nerve. I pulled Lavina into the kitchen and we made the worst tea in the whole world, with red chilies, gravy, sugar, and some crushed up dog food. The look on the family's face when they drank it was priceless. They ran out of our house screaming while my aunts had a total meltdown. "You've embarrassed us. You've destroyed our honor." "You have no honor. You're just two women who hate their lives and take it out on the kids. You're just two stupid girls from a broken family. Your parents couldn't stand to live with you, so they broke up and just left you with us." I was strong, but that broke me. I ran up to my aunt and slapped her in the face. "You are a foul person." I grabbed my sister and took her to our room. I locked the door before my aunts could barge in. I called up a friend from school and asked her if we could stay at her house for a while. My friend knew my family was messed up, so she agreed right away. Lavina and I packed our things and climbed out the window. Our aunties spotted us and yelled for us to come back, but we just ran to our friend's house a few blocks away. And it was the best decision we ever made. We were happy at my friend's house, and our escape became the talk of the neighborhood. When my aunts showed up to drag us back home one day, all the neighbors suddenly came out to help us.
"Leave these girls alone. We know all about how you treat them. Shame on you. You call yourself their aunts? We don't want to see you here."
The neighbors chased my aunts away. In fact, the whole neighborhood started protesting that they wanted them gone. And after a few days, my aunts were forced to leave for good. Now that we were finally away from them, we could see how much our aunts had tortured us. No one here controlled what we ate or what we wore. No one threw insults at us. The more we realized how horrible our aunts were, the angrier we got at our parents. How could they let us deal with all this? Neither of them had even called in a month. Then one day, my friend's mom said someone was here to see us, and Lavina and I were shocked to find Mom at the doorstep. "What are you doing here, Mom?" I'm here to take you girls with me." I felt so angry, I kinda snapped. "Why now, after all this time? You were always too busy with your own drama to be there for us, and then you just left us with those witches. You completely failed us, Mom. We're better off without you, so just leave." "You're right. I've been a terrible mother. I should have protected you from them. But I was so miserable and broken from that horrible marriage. I just needed some time to heal and get up on my feet again. I needed a job before I could even take you two away. How could I take care of you if I couldn't even take care of myself? I'm so sorry for everything you've gone through. Please, say you'll forgive me and let me make it up to you." "Mom, please get up. I'd always thought I was the one suffering, and I blamed you a lot. I forgot you were also suffering. I suffered because I wasn't pretty enough for my aunts, and Lavina because she was too pretty, and you because you were never good enough for them. But we got rid of them, Mom. We're away from all these toxic people who judge us for small things. We have each other now. And we will take care of you, Mom. Let's make up for all the lost time. Let's just be happy. Mom, please hug me. Please, say you love me. Say you love us, no matter what. I love you. I love you, my sweet daughters. And I'm here for you forever."
For you, seems I'm always late night texting, reaching out for you. Every morning I find drunken messages
To start, they're not my kids, they're my ex-boyfriends. The girls are young teen and tween. I met their dad, Ken, 4 years ago online. At the time, I'd just bought my first home, pretty large home for one person in a grey area. I told him that I had my own home on our first date. He was living with his sister on a couch. His kids lived with their great-grandparents. Their mom was in and out of jail. I will admit I felt sad about their situation and I liked him, so he and the kids moved in after only 2 dates. I never wanted kids, but I was forced to take on a parenting role because he never did. I bought the kids clothes, cooked meals, and took them to school. Meanwhile, Ken quit his job to make his music. He took over my basement, something that I wanted to use as a gym, and made it his music studio. I paid for everything. I was living a life that I hated. The girls weren't perfect either. They saw me as a maid and were heavily influenced by their classmates in their previous neighborhood. They lived in a poor area and their school wasn't great. Once they moved in with me, they enrolled in a rich school and told everyone that they were rich as well. Anyway, last month I came home early to see my boyfriend in my bed with some girl. I immediately kicked him out. I found out they've been together for almost a year and he's been buying her gifts with my money. I'm not sure where he went, but I called my friend and she and I packed up his stuff and threw it in the front yard. I called the girl's aunt and told her to pick them up because I was done with Ken. After explaining the situation, she said, "Well, the kids have to stay there, it's their home." I said no and that she could collect them and their things. She refused. Ken also refused. He said that the home was their home and that they had the right to live there. I let the girls sleep there and in the morning I called CPS saying that they were abandoned. I allowed the girls to take anything from their rooms and when they left I got the locks changed and told the guard in the community not to allow them in. Ken and his family are calling me an idiot since adult situations shouldn't affect kids. Some of my friends think I'm an idiot because the kids lost their way of life. I know that the girls loved their schools, friends and home, but I don't understand how I have to provide it for them. In 4 years, their dad has only brought in $20,000, which he spends on God knows what. Ken is trying to sue me for child support even though I never had legal responsibility. He did that so he could continue getting money from the government. Everyone's saying I should let the girls finish the school year, but I refused. Am I the idiot in this situation? Not the idiot. Is he serious right now? Child support? Bruh. Block any contact with any of those people, one and all. This is some craziness right here. OP, I hope you learn your lessons from this experience. Don't let people use you like that. Not the idiot. He was looking for someone to move in with and immediately started with the sob stories. I cannot believe people like him exist. Leech is gonna leech, and it sounds like his family is only upset because now he'll be leeching off them. OP, you didn't adopt kids. You let an idiot squat in your home with his spawn. Never tell them you own your own home on the first date, and if they tell you they're homeless, girl, what are you doing? P.S. If you live in California, he may win child support. You cannot let a homeless man live with you after one date. Please get some therapy to see why your standards are so low. Both parents are alive and she never adopted them. How would he be able to win child support? Also, sue you for what? He has no money, so good luck with that. Legit serious question. They're his responsibility, not OP's. And the disruption to the poor kids' lives is his fault, not OP's. But get in contact with a lawyer just in case. My mother-in-law, Barbara, is a conservative woman. She tends to be very critical of me. She always finds flaws in me and is always trying to fix them. E.g., her response to me dyeing my hair was that I sinned by changing God's chosen hair colour for me. She once threw some of my lingerie, saying her son shouldn't see them because it's sinful. We were already married, by the way. During the engagement period, she made a weekly reminder of me not to get pregnant or else she and her family would disown the baby and cut me off. She recently started commenting about how bad my face looks. She kept sending me boxes and boxes of this tea she recommended, since she's big on herbals and essential oils, basically forcing me to try it, although I already told her that it makes my stomach hurt and causes me to throw up. Yesterday, I visited my in-laws alone for lunch since my husband, Tommy, had work and couldn't come. Barbara examined my face from across the table while we were eating and was like, "Oh, looks like the tea has finally yielded some pretty good results. Your face no longer looks pale and outworn like before." Everyone stopped eating and stared at me. I felt so embarrassed and quite shocked that she called my face like that. I leaned back and told her, "No, Tommy's been helping me out with the de-stress every night in his special way." Wink, wink. She must have figured out what I meant, and so did the others because they started laughing, and she literally widened her eyes in shock. She looked very offended but said nothing, just said, "Excuse me," and walked out. Silence took over, but later Barbara called me, lashing out about the disrespectful and inappropriate things I said in front of the family. I said that I was just letting her know her tea did nothing and told her why my face was blooming. She shamed me for talking about her son's intimacy and said that I was taking advantage of him. I guaranteed that I wasn't taking advantage, but she kept berating me, then wrapped up with a request for an apology after I offended her in front of the family. I don't know if I messed up here. Am I the idiot for my response? Not the idiot, and perhaps you should check what that tea is. Basically forcing me to try it, although I already told her that it makes my stomach hurt and causes me to throw up. What on earth is she giving you? Check what it is. She could be poisoning you. Not the idiot. This woman frankly sounds jealous of your relationship and intimacy with her son. I know, gross. And I'm concerned about that tea too. A few years ago, there was a story about this woman whose mother-in-law had been giving her tea with sage, which makes you lose the baby. She embarrassed you and has been doing so regularly. Finally, you stood up for yourself. You'd be an idiot if you continued just to let her do it, but now that you did, perhaps you two can start down the road to recovery. What does your husband think about all of this? Agree. I hope you have your husband's support. You don't talk about his reactions. You should refuse to see them without him and have him shield you if you can't stop going. A united front is key. Anyways, this woman needs a hobby. Maybe you should enroll her in pole dancing classes. That would teach her to be less rigid.
Beautiful time. The most beautiful time. The most beautiful diamond. You've got the most beautiful diamond. You've got the most beautiful diamond eyes I've.
Okay, so I, female teen, have an older sister, teen, who I'll call Sally, who constantly steals from me and messes up my things. I've tried talking to my parents about it, but they shrug it off and say that sisters do things like that. It's gotten so bad that I have to hide or move valuable items out of the house in fear that she'll break or steal them. 3 weeks ago, I received money from my aunt and friend for my birthday. I was excited because I've wanted AirPods for a while now and I finally had enough money to get them. I kept the money in a box and put it in my drawer. About a week ago, I wanted to go to the gas station, so I went to get the money, but it wasn't there when I checked. So I went and asked my mom if she'd seen it, to which she replied, yes. She told me that my sister went snooping in my room and wanted the money, and my mom didn't have the heart to say no, so she let her take it. I went to my sister's room and demanded she gives me my money back. She told me that she'd already spent it and that I should have hidden it better if I didn't want it stolen. I was livid. I stormed to my room and stayed there for the rest of the day. 2 days ago, while out shopping with my aunt, she asked if I'd gotten the AirPods that I'd been wanting. I told her no and that Mom allowed Sally to take the money I was going to use to buy it. My aunt was furious and called my mom, confronting her about it. My aunt scolded my mom and said that I could stay the night with her. When I got home to pack my things, Mom was furious and threw money at me, asking if I was happy now that I'd made Sally feel bad. I ignored her, grabbed my things and left. While at my aunt's place, I received many nasty texts from family members saying I was in the wrong. My dad told me that he disagreed with what my mom and Sally did, but I didn't have to expose them to my aunt. I've been feeling extremely guilty, and I've been wondering if I was in the wrong. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your sister is a thief, and both parents are enablers. I'm glad you have an adult who's treating you well. As long as your sister doesn't learn boundaries from your mom and dad, she will continue and surely will have it hard in life when she has to learn she doesn't get everything she wants, and there are actually consequences for her behavior. I wonder if it works both ways. OP, feel free to take your sister's most valuable belongings and rummage through your mother's purse for money. If they ask or complain, say, everyone in the family apparently is a thief. I didn't want to be the odd one out. Exactly. Why does Mum only care that Sally would be upset? So it doesn't matter to her that her other daughter is being robbed? I wonder which the golden child is. Not the idiot, OP. I'm so sorry you're experiencing this one-sidedness from your parents. I'd maybe be asking your aunt if you could stay with her. Parents who play favourites never realise the damage they do to their favourite, or the non-favourite either. A phrase I saw recently, the golden child is forever a child. Your sister won't receive or learn consequences, so she won't learn to be a functional adult. As painful as it is right now, you're actually going to come through this better off. So hold strong. Your instinct to trust and tell your aunt was spot on. I wonder whether there was a similar dynamic between your mom and aunt. I, 34 male, have a daughter, Hayley, 18, with my ex, 34 female. Yes, I got the ages correct. For background, neither of our families was happy when they found out we were expecting, but her family got over it after Hayley was born, but mine cut me out. The only one who stayed in touch with me was my sister. My daughter doesn't know why I'm not in touch with my family. I don't want her to feel responsible. So my ex and I have always told her that I cut them out because I didn't like them. I have Hayley with me every other week, and ex and I split the costs of everything regarding her. We're on speaking terms but don't hang out often, only on Hayley's birthday and Thanksgiving every year. I've been seeing my girlfriend, 36, for over a year now. She's not a kids person, doesn't want them, but is on good terms with Hayley. My daughter will be leaving for college in another month, so she wanted to go shopping for new clothes and things she'll need to set up for her new apartment. She wanted both me and her mother to go with her. My girlfriend wasn't invited. I was happy to, but my girlfriend wasn't. She didn't speak to me, but directly went to Hayley and said that Hayley was disrespecting her by making me spend a day with my ex. Hayley then told my girlfriend that it would be the last time I would spend time with my ex until the next milestone, like her wedding or having children, etc. But it only upset my girlfriend further. When Hayley told me about this, I was upset and told my girlfriend that if at any point she had a problem with what I do, she's to speak to me and not to my kid. 3 days ago, when my daughter, girlfriend, and I were at my place, the topic of college came up. Hayley asked me if I would ever consider going to college myself. I said no, and when she asked why, I told her that I felt a little old for it now, and that I have a well-paying job, so it isn't necessary. When she asked if I would consider that if we're still 18, my girlfriend literally said, "Of course he would. You do realise that you being born is the reason his family cut him in the first place, right?" After that, Hayley got upset and angry and yelled at my girlfriend about how she couldn't be happy that Hayley has a stable life, and then called her some names. I was too shocked to say anything, so I just asked my girlfriend to leave. I tried speaking to my girlfriend the next day, but she said she wouldn't speak to me unless I punished my daughter to make her apologise to my girlfriend. I said no, I wouldn't make my daughter apologise. So she hung up on me, and I've been getting texts from my girlfriend's brothers calling me an idiot for letting my daughter treat their sister like that. Hayley has been avoiding her mom and me ever since. She leaves early, comes home late, and is eating out. And I can't help but blame my girlfriend for that. I know name-calling is bad, but I feel like my girlfriend brought that on herself. Am I the idiot? Everyone's the idiot here except Hayley and her mother. You're the idiot because you haven't dumped your girlfriend. Why would you be with someone who is so disrespectful, insecure, rude, childish, and cruel to your daughter? You also didn't defend your daughter. I shouldn't have to tell you why your girlfriend is an idiot too, but if I do, please see the paragraph above. You are the idiot. She leaves early, comes home late, and is eating out, and I can't help but blame my girlfriend for that. You should blame yourself. You're the one who lied to your kid in the first place, and you're the one who started a relationship with a jealous, children-hating woman. After what she did, you should have known she would be petty enough to hurt your kid just because. I don't think you're going to see much of your kid from now on. Not the idiot. Your girlfriend is being really nasty. I've no idea what could have possibly triggered her to be so petty and horrible. My only recommendation for you is to sit your daughter down and tell her how much you love her and that it's not her fault your family cut her off, etc., etc., because that stuff will stick with her for life. You can keep your child who loves you or your girlfriend who hates your child. Pick one. Update. Dumped her. Just got off the phone. Thank you all. My wife and I have been married for 4 years. My wife is 14 weeks pregnant. We used to split household chores evenly, but I've been doing a greater share of the chores during her pregnancy. For example, I usually cook for both of us. Yesterday, I was held up at work because my boss asked me to do extra reports before leaving, so I texted my wife asking her if she could prepare dinner for both of us because I'd be late. She replied saying that I'm a grown adult who can cook for himself. I was a bit annoyed at her comment because I never slack on my share of chores and she's not even ready to cover for me even this once. So I replied to her saying I'd be eating out with my colleague and that she should cook for herself. She said I was being petty, so I told her that she's a grown adult who can take care of herself. She tried calling me after that, but I didn't pick up and went to dinner with my colleague, who was also staying late. My wife refused to let me into the bedroom when I came home. She told me to sleep on the couch. I told her I'd be going to sleep at my brother's place and that she could sleep by herself if she didn't open the bedroom within 10 minutes. She immediately opened the bedroom door when I said that and started crying and shouting at me, saying I wasn't kind to her. She proceeded to pack her bags and went to stay at her mom's place. Am I the idiot? Edit, she often goes to her mom's place when we argue. She comes back only when I go and apologise in front of her mom. Not the idiot. Grown adults don't run off to their parents' house when they're being called out. I get her hormones are raging, but that doesn't excuse her being nasty for no reason. Also, refusing to let you sleep in your bed. Yeah, no, she's definitely wrong here. Not the idiot. She wanted you to cook for her, then she got mad that you wouldn't cook for her when you refused. Everyone needs a break sometimes. She said, "You're a grown adult, you can cook for yourself." Then you got mad, you pulled out the you-know reverse and said the same thing. Kindness is a two-way street. You give some, you'll get some. In this case, she was rude and you had none of it. Are you both 16? This is some juvenile nonsense. Everyone's the idiot here. You both need to grow up and learn how to communicate. You both will be parents, and you need to stop acting like children yourselves. You need to look up the meaning of de-escalate in the dictionary. Then you can just say, "Hey, that comment really stung." You can let me know you're not up for cooking without insults, right? I can't even imagine the amount of drama that adding a kid to this mix is going to create. Jesus, work out your issues ASAP. You can't behave like this. Go to therapy and learn how to communicate. Grown-up people don't run to their mother or brother's house each time they're arguing.